Well, friends, we at BSHF here in this webinar series today are meeting with heavy heart. What an irony today. It happens to be the birthday of late Professor K.V. Pita, who breathed last, gone to heaven on 15th May, only 2 days before, at 5:30 p.m. BSHF pays tribute to him. The webinar today is dedicated to him as a token of our affection and respect for his unparalleled contribution to the literature on horticulture sciences, technologies, and education. He was, my good God, I have to say was, he was a renowned vegetable scientist. Myself, personally, lost a good well-wisher and friend of mine and that of BSHF. Now coming to the usual drill, Professor Brahmsingh Horticulture Foundation, BSHF, a not-for-profit organization, and myself welcome you all to the talk number 17 of this series named as 4H, Urban Horticulture for Health and Happiness. BSHF is thankful to Bayer Seminis to sponsor this webinar series. Am I audible, Shivangi?
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Very
yes, sir.
much.
Yes, sir. Very much.
Okay. I'm happy to welcome co-organizers Dr. Peetam Kalia, ICR Rafi Ahmed Kidwai Awardee, former head Division of Vegetable Science and coordinator School of Horticulture Sciences, ICR IRI, New Delhi, and Dr. Shailendra Rajan, former director, ICAR Central Institute of Subtropical Horticulture, Lucknow. The webinar today is on urban vertical farming for health and happiness by Dr. Chenna Reddy Ashwath, Principal Scientist, ICR IIHR, Bangalore. BSHF is thankful to Dr. Ashwath for honoring our request to speak on IIHR research and development on vertical farming. As you know, vertical farming is upcoming farming where resources like land, water, and other inputs are minimized with increased energy and power requirement. Vertical farming is becoming popular in other countries and in India too, in form of soilless farming, indoor farming, urban farming, hydroponics, aeroponics, aquaponics, container farming, food factories and others. Mostly horticulture crops are raised in vertical farming. The world scenario on vertical farming with IIHR research and development mainly covering the floriculture side on it would be highlighted by the speaker. Questions can be raised in comment or chat box which will be answered after the talk. Now I request my colleague Dr. Peetam Kalia to formally introduce Dr. Shri.R. Ashwath ji.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Most respected Professor Brahm Singh ji, founder of BSHF and co-organizer Dr. Shailendra Rajan ji, and today's speaker Dr. C. Ashwath, who would be talking on vertical farming. Dr. C.R. Aswath has had his uh, graduation and master's in floriculture and a PhD in biotechnology from Guwahati University. Dr. Aswath started his career as ICR Complex for Northeastern Hill Region Barapani in 1989 and rose to the position of principal scientist in 2007 in IIHR Bengaluru. Dr. Aswath has made significant and commendable research and technological contributions in the field of horticultural sciences, especially floriculture and biotechnology. During the past 25 years of his career, Dr. Aswath has had contributed in innovative accomplishments covering important horticulture crops, especially citrus, tomato, onion, gervera, Cassandra, gladiolus, and chrysanthemum, and in the field of breeding, tissue culture, molecular markers, and genetic transformation. Dr. Aswath is a recipient of Dr. B.P. Paul Best Scientist Award for Agriculture from NABS Chennai, and he has also become Fellow of NABS Chennai, Indian Society of Ornamental Horticulture New Delhi, SAB Dharwad, and the Confederation of Horticulture Association of India New Delhi. Dr. Aswath is a member of PTCA, Pune. His recent findings in the area of developing scar markers in identification of rootstocks in citrus is patented, which is of immense use for the industry. And he has got SAG Award of Excellence in Horticultural Biotechnology. Dr. Aswath's work on tomato and flower crops in Northeast has made a significant contribution for breeding advanced lines for the rainfed conditions and introducing Gervera in the state of Meghalaya. Dr. Aswath has 15 varieties to his credit, belonging to Cassandra, Gerbera, Gladiolus, and Chrysanthemum, which are also of significant value for small and marginal farmers. Dr. Aswath is a recipient of Brain Pool Postdoctoral Fellowship from South Korea Science Federation for his outstanding research contribution in horticultural biotechnology. He has uh, his short-term fellowship in Japan under INSA has recognized him among the orchid tissue culture group. Dr. Aswath has more than 110 international and national publications, besides several books to his credit. He has guided more than 10 postgraduate students. He is the executive member of many professional societies and editorial committee members for many journals. Dr. Aswath is a member of expert group on agriculture biotechnology of Karnataka. So we have Dr. Aswath with us to talk on vertical farming today. Not taking much time standing between the viewer and the speaker, I would like to invite Dr. Aswath to take the floor and deliver his talk. Dr. Aswath, please.
Thank you, Kaliaji, for sharing my biodata. Can I share the slides?
Yes, sir.
Can you see my slides? Hello? Hello?
Visible.
Hello?
Yeah, hello. It is
Yeah,
visible.
yeah, yeah. It is
Yes, sir.
visible now. Okay, I'll go to slide. Okay. Shall I start, Rajan?
Yeah, yeah, please.
Okay.
Definitely.
Um Respected Brahm Singh ji, Kalia ji, and Rajan, and all other viewers. Today, I just want to give some small information on vertical farming for health and happiness. I am Dr. Ashwath. Probably, Kaliaji has given a very vast biodata of mine. Thank you. I'm going to deal with four or five things. One is on concepts, another is on SWOT analysis, and what work we have done in IHR, and what work has been done in elsewhere, and finally we'll conclude it. So let me start with a slide. All is well. See, this is my always. I'll start with a good, slide where you can see we have 300 billion tons of agriculture products and 300 billion tons of horticulture. So it is really a great for India as well as Indian scientists as well as Indian farmers that we are very well comfortable, very without any hungry mouth today. So yes, always we have to go for a risk analysis, and not definitely we have to expect the lot of problems may come tomorrow. So I'll start sharing around four or five scenarios where the problems may come. Say suppose now we have only 4.2% of water, 2% of 2.4% of area, 17% of population, and around 1.6 billion population to feed. Say suppose in scenario one, when the water is less, when the area is less, when like population it keeps increasing, then definitely all the first preference will go to rice, wheat, pulses, followed by oil seeds, sugarcane. Then in the horticulture, when it comes, definitely it will go to the fruits. Yes, we have around 10 million hectares of vegetables, and flower crops around 0.25 to 3 million medicinal crops. So this is where in fact the first scenario where, so these are the one, like around 11 million hectares is there where we can think of, like producing the same vegetables in 1 million hectares instead of 10 million hectares. So the same land can be given it to rice, wheat, and pulses, because when the land is shrinking, when the water is shrinking. Second scenario, you see, we have an excellent technologies to come. Of course, it's already came and to come also. You just imagine long around 40 to 50 years back, just with the 220 liters of water, 220 liters of water, we used to get around 15 kg per meter square. Today you can see, just with 10 liters of water, you can produce an amount of about 120 to 130 kgs per meter square. You see, imagine the technology where factory productivity has increased so much, even so that is where we have a lot of technologies to come. I mean, is already there, and lot of technologies to come. And definitely now the only thing is here, it is the energy. So we have to think about the energy source, we have to think about the saving the energy, we have to think about spending our research mostly based on the energy. Okay, this is the second scenario. Third scenario, probably now when you go to the urbanization by 2050, everybody knows that lot of entire population, around 60% of population will be there. So now a lot of smart city missions have come, and this is third scenario. Fourth scenario is already WHO and as well as the World Bank. They are insisting that you have to cut down the food miles, because food miles is the one which is taking lot of energy, lot of fossil fuels they are taking up, and that is where we have to cut the food miles. Food miles is the one which a food travels a distance that food has traveled from the time of its production to the time of its reach of the consumer. You just imagine in India, the potato travels almost 3,000 kilometers, the onion around the 800 kilometers, tomato 400 kilometers. So this is where we have to cut the food miles so that we can cut the fossil fuel also. So this is another scenario. Then probably the other biggest problem is coming is the Indian veggies and fruits remain highly toxic. It has become a big problem because we have a quality control lab. We see a lot of your vegetables which is very high in cadmium and lead because they are using the sewage water. This is another scenario which we have to work. So the last scenario which I just wanted to say that, so India is in climatic risk. So we have to think about it. So a lot of hailstorms, a lot of problems may come. So we have to think about producing horticulture produce without affecting the environment or without getting affected from the environment. So you take all the six scenarios. So whether it is a less land, whether it is a less water, whether it's a less fertilizers of pesticides we want, whether high in urban population, to cut down the less food miles, higher nutrition, all this. There is one technology which we can really fit in, is vertical farming. So what is vertical farming? The vertical farming, as I put it, see, the vertical farming is completely growing the crops in a controlled environment vertically with a precise light, nutrients, and temperature, which is not yet there in India, and which is going to come. Then cultivation of crops in a vertical layers under controlled environmental condition. This is also not there in India, which is really, we have to do it. But right now, what IHR is working on, what other papers, what I have seen is the utilization of the vertical spaces for growing crops, which is a criminal waste in polyhouse, leading to increased production. Say, suppose now polyhouse, it's around 15 feet. Now 12 to 15 feet is the polyhouse height. But so far, what height we are using, it is only 3 feet from the land we are using. So another 12 feet is a criminal waste. And that is where we have to utilize this vertical space of 12 feet. So you can imagine there is around 25,000 hectares of polyhouse in India, 25,000 hectares. So imagine 25,000 hectares into, even if take 10 feet, imagine, how much productivity we can increase, how much yield we can increase, how better the quality we can do it. So that is where is my topic, and that is where IHR is working in a big way, that how to utilize the space, what are the problems, how to go about it. So let us go for a SWOT analysis. So the strength is we have a water and nutrient use efficiency. We can utilize it to a maximum extent. Then we can have an higher yield, almost 20 times, 13 to 20 times. A lot of papers have been proved. In fact, in IHR also, we have seen up to 20 times. Then higher plant density. Then the only weakness is costlier installation in the beginning, because the technology is yet to mature. Then we have to take extra care for maintenance of nutrients. So coming to the threats, so light is the biggest problem, biggest threat, because we are altering the light. So anything may happen. It may go for a bad, it may go for a worse, it may go for good. So even the use of media is also is a threat. If you use a media which is of very high weight, they may collapse, and the structures may collapse. So the opportunity, the best opportunity, as I said, it is the use of vertical space. 25,000 hectares right now into 10 feet. So 250,000 square feet can be utilized for vertical farming. So there are, many aspects. I just want to go for a hydroponics, where we used aquaponics. So wick irrigation, soilless, and aeroponics. Of course, as Brahm Singh said, these are all the juggleries which they use. But right now, I don't want to go too much deep into the hydroponics. So I covered wherever only the vertical space is used, because vertical space is very important for us. Otherwise, a lot of work has been done in hydroponics, aquaponics, and wick irrigation. So we have to standardize the soilless culture when we want to go for a higher and higher, to height. So this is where, in fact, we have done a lot of work. So in hydroponics, vertical farming, we have already grown the lilium, gerberas, then lettuce, tomato, chili, capsicum, gherkins, cabbages, strawberries, beans, and all types of leafy vegetables. But what I found is, entire review, if you do it, then vertical farming, it is very, very few research papers are there. They're all grown by a private amateurs. So not really commercialized completely. So there are no peer reviewed papers. As I said, it is only on some popular articles are there. So it is the time now we have to invest on vertical farming. And this is where, in fact, ICR also, we have sensitized the ICR also to fund more onto the vertical farming. So coming to the IHR, we have first thing what we did was the wick irrigation. You can see here a wick irrigation has been adapted to the NFT. So a wick is drawn, and just fill up the media, and you just forget it, giving water on the pipes, and the wick absorbs through capillary action. And for our surprise, we found that there is a saving of water up to 67% in the wick irrigation. So, 67% saving on the drip irrigation. So the drip passage already saves a lot of water, and the wick irrigation is saving lot, around 67% over the drip. So that means that we can increase in the same water, we can increase the area by 67%. So we have done a lot of work on the wick irrigation, and you can see here our gerberas now. So initially we started with the wick irrigation. With the wick irrigation, we have compared with the drip irrigation, wick irrigation on, like going vertically. So this is where we just went vertically. 5 times we went, 5 layers this side, 5 layers that side, around, like 10 layers. And we wanted to work it out, which is the best direction. Light directions are very, very important. So for our surprise, whether east is better, west is better, north, south, or in between, all these things which we are working out on vertical farming. This is the one, because as I said, light is the one factor which we have to work it out in a completely in a proper way, because the light may not fall as uniformly as from the top to bottom layer. So this is where we have to see that the structure is clearly built, where the light interception should be 100%, like uniform between first layer to last layer, and that is where we have worked out, and we were successful in that. So directions, in fact, one of my PhD student is working on directions, and now we found that east and west is the best direction. So once if the directions we have standardized, like we need not move the structures, and complete all the structures can be kept east and west directions, and most of the crops they preferred east and west direction. So this is where we have standardized it, and we found it is very good. So initially we went up to 6 feet. Then we thought, why don't we go for more? So we went up to even 11 feet also. See, now the structure what I made is almost 11 feet. You can see we have changed from pots to the grow bag. See, this is the grow bag and the media. See, this is where a lot of research has been done, a lot of work has been done on, the slope of the bag, the slope of the structure, the slope of the bag, the slope of the structure, and the year, the entire, whether it is a first layer or a second layer or third layer or fourth layer, fifth layer, all the layers get the uniform light. So this is where, in fact, we have sent this for a design patent, and what we found was all the layers are getting the uniform light without any much problem. So initially we started measuring the light, and we started adjusting the slope, and we have kept a proper slope. Even when the media also should be, properly should be, there. Otherwise, too much of, slope also the plant may not like it. And third thing is, of course, the media weight. See here, each one will be around 76 to 80 kgs it holds. So the entire structure of around 11 box will hold around 1.1 tons. So this is also another thing which we have to maintain it in a very proper way. So imagine, a polyhouse and a vertical farming. So I just, I calculated, polyhouse, just for, like 1,000 square meter, a polyhouse I calculated. And you can see here, see plants, whereas 6,000 plants will come for a polyhouse, a normal 1,000 square meter, whereas here it's almost, 6,000 plants can be accommodated instead of 600 plants. So 10 times we can increase. See here the number of flowers. Around 2.4 lakh flowers can be harvested from 1,000 square meter, whereas here it's almost 24 lakh flowers can be harvested. So here borewell is not required. This is where I just want to explain afterwards that why borewell is not required, why extra water is not required. That also we worked it out. See here, like 11 feet, 11 layers. You can imagine. I mean, so see here lilium, how beautifully it is grown. First layer, second layer, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. All the layers we have measured the light, and you can see the uniform plant. That means that absolutely there is no change in the light from first to last layer. So this is where the structures have been made, and for our surprise, the plant density has increased by 6 times. 6 times. So where, we can utilize the 6 times plant density, and yield also has increased by 6 times. Very straight. The yield also increased by 6 times. The density also increased by 6 times, and you can see here, we have made different slopes, and even on a particular slope we measured the light, and we found that there is no significance is not there between first layer to, last layer. So this is where this slope now has been sent for a patenting. So we have done a lot of experiments on where, keeping the bag in a different, directions, keeping the structures, I mean, making the structures in a different directions, and we measured the light properly, and we found that in particular slope and a particular angle, all the layers will get a proper light, and that is where we have fixed that slope. So you may, like people, they're very, suddenly they will ask, it may be very expensive, it may be very expensive, how it is. See, we just calculated it for 200 square meter. Of course, it has costed around 6 lakhs. But the thing is, see, 6 lakhs we cannot take directly. 6 lakhs is, like amortized for 15 years, because that is how the economists calculate. 6 lakhs has been amortized. The life of the structure is around 15 years, and we have amortized the 6 lakhs for 15 years. And for our surprise, in the second year, by almost by 4 crops can be taken in 2 years. And we found that, like you can see here, like expenditure in conventional and the net returns, it is, like amazing, 8 lakhs 59,000, whereas here it is 1 lakh 32,000, because it is right, like 6 times it is increasing the density, and 6 times increasing the yield. So there is, like there is no aberration that yes, it is very expensive. And in fact, now what we are proposing to NHB, or like National Horticulture Mission, you give a subsidy for 1 acre of subsidy for 1 acre polyhouse, you are giving a subsidy. The same 1 acre polyhouse subsidy, you give it for only one fourth of an acre, so including structure. So see, imagine the maintenance of 1 acre and imagine the maintenance of one fourth of an acre. So whatever the subsidy now government is giving for 1 acre, if they give the same subsidy for one fourth of an acre along with vertical structures, then it will suffice. So it is easy to maintain. Absolutely, there is no hitch in, like constructing a huge polyhouse of 1 acre. And around peri-urban horticulture, like it is very difficult to get 1 acre land, and this can be very well suited to the peri-urban horticulture, where within a span of 25 to 30 kilometers, so having even a 60-40 site, 60 feet by 40 feet, it's around 180 square meter will come. That will suffice, to grow more than one acre thing. So this is where, like as I said, we calculated now, in 1,000 square meter polyhouse, it can store around 8.5 lakh liters. Inside the polyhouse, we want to store it. See, this is outside earlier there. So now we want to take the rain harvesting and store the entire 8.5 lakh liters inside the polyhouse by making a pond, and making a sort of, like farm pond, which is not very expensive. For the entire 8.5 lakh liters, it will be around 1.5 lakhs, and entire 8.5 lakh liters is enough for the entire that 1,000 square meter polyhouse for 1 year. That means that rainwater which is there, which are stored inside the polyhouse, is enough for the entire vertical structures. So you need not go for a borewell, or you need not go for a groundwater also. So this is what, like we have calculated. So, and for our surprise, in the vertical structures, see, 4.5 liters per square meter is required for a gerbera on a bed, whereas here it is just a 600 ml per day per through wick irrigation. So imagine, like saving of so much of water, and so much of only rainwater. I mean, like rainwater is enough, and no extra borewell, no extra well, no extra water is required. So this is how we calculated, like 25,000 hectare polyhouse is there now. Almost 6 times you can increase the area, so it will comes to around, like more than 5 lakh hectares. Then water saving almost 5 times. Absolutely no water is required, no borewell is required. So the only thing now, a will is required to go for this type of structures. So now, in fact, I referred many papers also, like lot of papers from other places, especially in the foreign countries. They have calculated, like production and cost and gross returns of a traditional soil culture system and soilless culture system for zero point 0.1 hectare. You can see. So there also they say, like it is almost it is the same as ours, like increasing the area. So in Kerala, they have done one experiment just like ours only. The same experiments they have done with the different structures, and they also found, you see, this A structures, A type of structures, and with a proper sloping. The same work has been done by them also, where using, like the different tires, and of course they have not worked out any crop. Only thing they found that, like on all the structures, like some sort of, like light, uniform light was there, and they found that yield is more in 58%, and compared to 42% in other structure. So they have compared two structures, 58%. Whereas in our case, so the yield is exceptionally 6 times more. So rather than this type of, so it is the structure only it matters for a uniform light. So a lot of work has been done and it has been proved also. So in many of the papers from outside, I found rose. It is there, like gerbera. Of course, we are also working, and many papers are also there on gerbera and vertical farming using the hydroponics. Marigold, it is there. Anthuriums, it is there. Carnations, it is there. So that means, like like slowly the technology is summing up. It is coming, like in a big way, and this is the time where we have to catch up this technology to save water, to the save area, to save like the huge polyhouses which is very difficult to maintain also. So in fact there are many like studies where the nutrient concentrations which are required for the crops has been worked out. See, whether it is a gerbera, whether it is a carnation, rose, limonium, anthurium, lizanthus, they all worked out, like the nutrient concentration. But when it comes to our area and our polyhouse and our conditions, we may have to slightly, like change ourselves, and we can, like what I say that this technology is called plug and play. Like once if you standardize everything, the nutrients, so it is only just plug and play. 1 or 2% is required for entire 1 acre of polyhouse. So because there is no need of giving fertilizers, I mean, everything is through like automation. So not much of like thing is there. So this is all about the flowers. When it comes to the vegetables, yes, of course, a lot of work has been done in the vegetables. Very few, very less work has been done in fruits, except in strawberry. I don't see any other paper. In vegetables, a lot of work has been done. In Bangalore, of course, 2 or 3 commercial companies have started, not in a big way. Of course, 1 acre polyhouse with a vertical farming structures. It is started like Hydrobloom Corporation in Bangalore. They have around 2 acres of polyhouse. So and elsewhere also, like it will be like mostly they will work it out for like on a rooftop, or like where 15,000 square feet is suffice to produce around 100 to 120 kgs of vegetables per day. So imagine a flat with 100 families with 15,000 square feet, and you can produce around 10 to 100 to 120 kgs. That means 1 kg for each family. It can be produced daily, fresh and ready to eat and without going for any food mill, just right from the rooftop. So there is one company called Yogurt in Bangalore, where he has adapted around 3,000 flats, and he supplies daily. By 6 o'clock he will harvest, and by 6:30 they'll get the fresh produce from this vertical farming to the all the 3,000 flats. So that is how like it is called like a sort of like supply according to their taste, supply according to their requirement, and everything is like completely computerized. So they will send what they require. He will grow what they require. They will come and see how he is growing it, and things are going on well. So maybe like as these things comes, the vegetables can be grown like this, and the same land can go for a like rice or wheat or oil seeds. That is what is my. So a lot of work has been done on lettuce. In fact, we also worked out on the lettuce, and we found that lettuce is the one crop which where it can come very well, whether it is a horizontal, whether it is a vertical, whether it is a wick irrigation or anything. But we found that again the vertical hydroponics, like 4 to 5 layers. You can see here, like vertical hydroponics, five layers are there. So it comes very well there, and so you can see here the horizontal and vertical. It is almost the number of plants is almost here 50. It's here 1,000. So 20 times more. Yield per square meter around say 7, like kgs. Here it is 95 kgs. So you can imagine like almost accommodated 20 times more the number of plants that of thing. And when you take overall yield, average yield, it is around 13.8 times. So this is the where like even in we can keep on increasing also 20 to 20 times, 25 times also we can increase. So still lot of research, because whatever the varieties which we are using right now, we are using the normal varieties which has been bred. So now exclusively we require to breed the varieties exclusively for the vertical farming. So there is one paper on strawberry which I could see. So again, plant density, yield per plant per grams, you can see on the vertical farming, and yield per area. So again on the vertical farming. So strawberry, you can see here again it is increased by 6.5 to 7 times. Strawberry has increased in the vertical farming. So lot of work has been done in the especially foliage plants. Especially the green amaranthus, green foliage plants, because they are the one which to use, starting from rugged small technology to the high technology now. There are companies. I'll show you the list of companies where down south, lot of companies are there which now they are supplying with in Hyderabad, in Bangalore, in Pune, in Kerala. There are they are supplying especially the green amaranthus, the pallaks, and the most of these greens, they are supplying it. So if you see here, lettuce grown vertically on unutilized wall in Dhaka city, there is one paper. In fact, I am very surprised to see a lot of papers in Bangladesh, because I found that Bangladesh, they are working a lot in vertical farming, and they are picking up. Maybe like a Vietnam, it slowly goes, and they must Bengal through Bangladesh. So this is the time where we may have to catch up. The cost of production is very, very less. Once if the technology is foolproof, once if you investment, the once one invested, then the cost of production will come down because of the water, because of less labor. So your net return will be very high. This is where, in fact, I'm stressing it. So a lot of work on cabbage, coriander, lettuce, leek, and palak. So in fact, we worked on lettuce and palak. Last time we raised one crop on cabbage. Excellent crop has been we could able to raise in cabbage. Only things, see, it is a sort of nutrient deficiencies will be very, very fast. Within 2 or 3 days you will see a nutrient deficiency which should be corrected. So that is why exact, as I said, the nutrients to be given almost every day. We maintain what is the EC level to be maintained, what is the pH to be maintained. These are all almost like a like a computer program. So once if you maintain that, the crop will automatically grow without much hindrance. A slight changes in micronutrient, within 2 days you will see the deficiency. So this is where, in fact, we found that cabbage has grown very well. Then palak, of course, we have grown. Lettuce we have grown without any coriander we have grown without any problem. So these are all as I said, amaranthus, then mint, then chili. Of course, chili is not my our crop. This is from my capsicum. Then even we have grown most of the gourds, like ridge gourd. We have grown. We have grown the sponge gourd. We have grown the bitter gourd. So most of them they come very well in the crop. See, the presently the trend is slowly the many people they started asking me that whether you can give a technology for turmeric, especially because the turmeric and ginger. Now people want to go now grow turmeric and ginger in vertical farming, because ginger, I mean turmeric especially, they just want to grow, and especially for medicinal properties which has got. So they want to extract it. So slowly, there are some companies where they're coming and establishing the hydroponics, and not exactly hydroponics. Yeah, like hydroponics with the coco pit, and even vertical farming also. I'll show you. Recently, I went to Coimbatore. So they want to take up a large cultivation of, for a curcumin content, especially curcumin content. So it is like a build, operate, and sell. So they will come, they will build, they will operate, and you have to sell the produce to them. So that is how it started, and now it is picking up. I'll show one or two companies which are growing turmeric. So since health is also one of the aspect which now we have to think about it. See, now microgreens is the one which because of lot of antioxidants, and a lot of proline, a lot of amino acids. Especially now it is a trend. People are going for a microgreens. So slowly it is coming up, and vertical farming is the one, is the best technology for a microgreens. See, this is the one which microgreen, less time, less space, high nutrients, and straight, you can sell it in the city, and maybe in the malls, they slowly they see. This is the mall from Japan, where slowly just go and harvest yourself in the morning, and just come and eat it. So that is how the trend is coming. So there a lot of work is again on pharmacology side, where nutrient availability of selected leaf vegetables at microgreen stage. So in vertical gardening, so this is the one which again as I picked up, and I said like one or two companies like Bangalore Hydrobloom Corporation in Bangalore is the one which is supplying the microgreens to the flats. So according to their needs, and they found that a lot of nutrients availability is very good. When see that is what in fact when we started, DG came once and he has asked us whether the nutrient status is same, whether when you grow outside, when you grow polyhouse, whether when you grow, and we also, I mean, like in our division of basic sciences, we also could able to see that absolutely there is no much change, even though we grow in the hydroponics, whether it is a aeroponics, whether it's hydroponics, whether it's a vertical farming with the coco peat, the nutrient changes is not there much. So then now the thing is, like a lot of vertical hydroponic, ready to move in. So you just like you can just take this way, move in containers wherever is required, and you can sell as such, the green one in a moving trucks. It is now slowly it is coming up. So the people just go there and you can harvest it also. And um, in fact, we started with a very very small technology, rugged technology, and now like microgreens is picking up in a big way. And the one more technology which is very well fit into the vertical farming is the CEA, Controlled Environment Agriculture. In fact, NASA started long back, and we started adopting it. In India, it's still in a fancy. So it is called indoor vertical farming. There are many types like soil-based, hydroponics, aquaponics, aeroponics, where inside completely under controlled condition. It is only the lighting is required. So this is where, in fact, now we have started with a very very small place, but really to go in, maybe it may pick up in a big way, because now the solar lighting we can utilize it, solar with LED, and we can grow completely under completely environment controlled condition. Absolutely no pesticides is required. Of course, here there are, like there are two things which people ask, whether is it an organic. So many times we say that it is not organic, it is a pesticide free, like produce, because we cannot grow organic here, because we had to give nutrients, we had to give all the 16 nutrients to the plant. After all, we are giving the inorganic, and the plants convert it to organic and give it us back. So we have to like educate people that organic means, like need not be, like we had to give some nutrients, but we are not spraying any pesticide. So the days to come, maybe this will pick up in a big way, where completely under controlled condition we can grow. So only thing here now, the problem is the lighting is expensive, the energy is expensive in India. So the days to come, maybe like it may pick up. So already a lot of work has been done, like what are the light requirements, which are the crops which can be grown inside. And if you see, like with a moderate light and low and moderate height, many of the crops can be grown. So this is what is, like again, as I say, like cutting down the food miles, maybe within a span of 10 to 20 kilometers, or within a, like a big flats, like they can convert the flats and just grow the vegetables which are required to the needy people, I mean like the around people. So a lot of work has been done, like leafy greens to different light quantity. So earlier we used to study that, okay, this light will be good, and but now the quantification has come down, like what type of, like light is required, which is the wavelength which is required. And that is how, like a lot of work has been done. And red plus blue light, like is good. And we can definitely now order the particular wavelength light in LEDs. And in future, like a lot of work and a lot of companies may start, like, because a lot of, like when we started vertical farming, in fact, a lot of queries are coming that whether the first thing is it profitable. So that is the only thing which we are not able to tell them that yes. Yeah, so there are a lot of, like work on a white light with a lower blue light and green light proportion is recommended for like culinary herbs. So again, herbs is the main thing, which lot of medicinal herbs are there which we are working on, and brassicas, and so this is the one which we have to now slowly, like At least as an horticulturist, we have to think about working on culinary herbs also, because this is the need of the hour. Many of the people, they are deficient of iron and other vitamins. So there is lot of work on light systems for a crop, whether it is a lettuce, cabbage, cucumber. So everything is there, ready made is there. Only thing, somebody has to come, you know like uh, come and invest. So this is where, we have to ask venture capitalists, or we have to convince the venture capitalists. Last time, in fact, I went for one bioeconomy where all the venture capitalists who came, that is what, the straight talk of the business. So I said, see, in agriculture it is not the only business, but we have to convince them the amount of the nutrients which we give to the people when they freshly harvested rather than bringing from farm. So we have to really convince them so that a venture capitalist can invest on vertical farming, whether it is inside, or whether it is completely controlled, or whether it is the polyhouse. So in one of the paper, they have, they calculated 1 acre, which can produce around 2 million lettuce heads per year. Even if you keep 20 rupees per head, it will be around 4.2 crores. So the production cost will be around 5 to 6 per head. So the only thing is the setup cost should be around 6 crores. So this is where the itching came. And the people, people who just say that 6 crores I had to invest. And if somebody comes and invest, you can imagine, this is the system. And it is, since it is a NFA system with a LED, absolutely it is just a computerized control. Not much of human errors will be there. Everything is like a factory only. So there are, lot of systems where they have compared the conventional system with the LEDs, and they found that LEDs, you can see here, the conventional had 60 to 70 days it takes the year, and you can see here just with the 20 to 25 days. So that means we can save around 10 crops we can take in a year, as well as the yield also is very high. So this is a data from Hydrobloom Corporation from Bangalore. And now it is lot is picking up in, especially in North America. It is the fastest growing vertical farming market. It is picking up, aeroponics, hydroponics, and aquaponics is picking up. You can see here by 2026, a big quantum jump will be, they are expecting a big quantum jump by 2026. So these are the vertical farmers across the world. There are these are the very, very big vertical farms across. You can see, Singapore, Canada, South Korea, Holland, and US are the major. And in India, there are, of course, I just collected the information. 10 top hydroponic companies, it is there in Goa, Hyderabad, Chennai, Bangalore, Kochi, so, and Delhi, Phonik Greens in Delhi, and Chandigarh. So they are slowly, they are not in a very big way, maybe 1 acre, 1.5 hectare. Future farm is there. I just visited the future farm, Chennai, and even in Coimbatore also I visited one or two. In Bangalore, it is there. They are coming up. Probably they are going to pick up also. See, now in Mumbai, vertical farming companies, they have started, and they will come and set up 365D farms, Pune. They will come and set up, on the sort of sharing basis, where they will invest and you invest, and with the 50-50. So these are the few people which commercially they are selling the produce in and around Bangalore, in Hyderabad. I collected some information and I spoke to few of them. Of course, they are not very happy with the amount of profits they are getting, but they are happy that they are giving a fresh produce to the people. So in one way, they are very happy. So as I said, I contacted one company where they invest on turmeric especially. So they say around, uh, around 10,000 rupees we have to invest for a square meter on a turnkey basis for turmeric growing. It is going in a big way in Belagaum, then in Coimbatore, in some parts of down south. They started investing on and growing the turmeric, and this is the way they are growing it. Of course, they don't reveal much information how it is working out, but it, So I contacted many people. The setting up a hydroponic farm in 1 acre of land will be around 1.1 crore to 1.5 crores. So excluding the price of the land, the cost will be, varies according to the technology and automation is used. So for this is what, the people who have already set up the companies, they are just living in it. So there are a lot, even we can start with one eighth of an acre or one fourth of an acre or 1 acre. You can see here we can increase up to 92,000 plants. So this is called tower system, which is, I don't want to take much time. Where one case study for lettuce, you can see here in 300 square feet area, around 3,200 plants can be grown. Approximately 150 rupees per plant initial infrastructure is required, but it takes around even if you sell 5 rupees per plant cost, within 3 years your payback period will be there. So it is such a small crop, and they invested, and there is tomato. See, today of course it is 100 rupees tomato, so it comes to around 14 rupees per plant cost of investment. So it's considered 10 kg production, so it comes to around 1.5 rupees. So but only thing here is it is the initial investment. So once if your initial investment is taken by some venture capitalists or some loan or some bank loan, definitely it is going to come. Of course, in India, the marketing is the main problem. So because most of the hydroponics company which I spoke to them, they say that they are not able to sell at a higher cost. See, palak, a minimum of 40 rupees he has to sell, like 1 kg of the palak, he has to sell around minimum 40 rupees to around 80 rupees, whereas in outside you will get for 20 rupees, so 15 rupees, 10 rupees. So this is where the problem comes. So you have to catch hold of the proper consumers or a hi-fi consumers where they are ready to pay for more for a quality product. So, as I said, we have to now ICR, whether universities or ICRs, we have to nearly now formulate a projects. So we have to formulate the projects and we have to really come out with. In fact, myself and Dr. Rajan and other 4 5 institutes, we have submitted a project to our SMD. So these are the objectives which you can keep, like to evaluate the different horticulture crops or varieties. See, this is where, in fact, now we have to breed the variety suitability for vertical farming. All this time now we are using the varieties. Say in turmeric, if you have a variety of about 1.5 feet to 2 feet, if you have bred, then it is very easy to fit into the vertical farming. So there are a lot of systems, DFT, NFT with WIC. There are, in fact, one of my PhD student is doing this for our gerbera. So this is again we have to standardize it. Then growing media is one of the very important, because bulk density matters a lot, then porosity matters a lot in growing media, then fertigation, then weather growth promoters, all this. When it comes to the inside, the vertical farming, which is again the light LEDs, then natural indoor purifiers. I'm going to tell about this a few slides. Again, this is now it is picking up that we can purify the air using some of the plants. Then economic feasibility of the growing crops in this system. So this is where anyone will ask. See, that is where we calculated for lilium in vertical farming, and we could able to see 1:3. So this is the first thing which we scientists has to work out. Once if your technology is ready, we have to take in 200 square meter or 1000 square meter, and we have to work out the economic feasibility. Then only we'll be confidently telling this, yes, it is going to work, there is no problem. Then maybe in future we have to develop a crop based commercial nutrient mixtures, just for a tomato, for a chili, or for anything, just crop based nutrient mixtures we have to develop. Then we have to develop a sort of business models, and for a breeders, as I said, we require a lot of varieties which are suitable for farming. So these are the objectives which projects can be made, and these are the projects which whether you can submit it to ICR or somewhere else, you'll get it. So where else in vertical gardens can be used? As health is also one. So now slowly it is picking up that there is great solution for urban spaces, especially like spaces like Delhi or Bangalore, or like where a lot of pollution is there, and that is where now slowly we have to increase the greener area. We can see here like we can come out with the concept of AC, like at least places like Bangalore, Pune, where temperature is not going to high. You just keep, like different plants which can absorb the pollutants and which can give the proper oxygen. And this really it requires to work out how many C3 plants we have to keep, how many C4 plants we have to keep, what type of plants we have to keep, how much it gives the oxygen, how much it absorbs. All this we have to work it out. So in fact, this is a one good area where students can work really well, and we can make a sort of natural ACs to the plant, window seals and all. Like we can make it so that like completely. And this is again a green walls is coming up. It is a big, like now slowly it is picking up again. It gives, like your building will be very very cool. You need not spend too much on your ACs. You need not spend too much on the electricity consumption once if you start cooling your building. So either you can grow the foliage plants or you can even grow the vegetables also. And this is how slowly like in Delhi also it has come, and in Bangalore also it is now like the all the pillars of metro, they are going to make it a green. And this is where vertical gardens are really fitting well. What type of media is required, like saving of water, again wick irrigation, or like a pulse irrigation, so that slowly the entire pillars of the system, if they become green, imagine like how much temperature we can bring it down in the city. So, nevertheless, even the vertical farming, we can use it for even for the animal husbandry also. You can see here, like for fodder, vertical gardens for animal husbandry, where in a place just like, like one room or two rooms is enough to rear a cow. You need not, like, say the problem with the rearing cow is a fodder. So, you can manufacture your fodder just using humidifiers in a small room. And this is what they standardized in Goa. You can see, like the size of the greenhouse is approximately around 25 feet into 10 feet, and has a potential to produce 600 kgs of green fodder daily in 7 days. You can imagine here, just with the, like 25 feet, 250 square feet polyhouse can produce around 600 kgs of green fodder in daily. So that means you can have around two or three cows if you have a small poly house. So this is where a higher biggest potential is there in India, places like India where a small farmer requires like fodder, like a fodder for their cows and their sheep or goat, and this is how it fits very well. And some more refinement of research is required in this. So I was very much interested that there was one KVK in Kerala where he has derived a small system where he can give a vertical farming. He has started rearing everything. You can see here, like he has put a maize, he has put a horticulture crops, and he is rearing goats. He has just it is all like in a span of azola is growing, poultry is growing, rabbits is growing, just because he is using a completely and vertical space for growing the fodder. So you can imagine here a cost is around 5 lakhs approximately. So the BCR ratio is around 7. So in a small place like this, a person can like read so many things. We can this is the one which we require here. Not the big companies. Like in one way, a small like place where they can really go for it. So this is again a vertical farming which fits very well, and this is where we have to really propose it. We have to bring out a model so that one can go easily for it. Actually, so this is the one company which I recently visited. This NeoCare in Coimbatore, where they are bringing out a aerophonics. Normally, see aerophonics. It was all these days. It was a horizontal. It is easy innovation. In fact, uh, uh, it is easy innovation that now vertical aerophonics he has derived it, especially for the turmeric, ginger, then some of the aromatic grasses where he has used the aeroponics. So this is a like a completely automized system he has used, and he has invested more than 20 crores on this company. Like he says that now in future he is selling this technology. You can see here, like he is using the aromatic grass, Simbabogan, and all this grass for like extraction of oil. And so you can see the roots which are developed inside the system. It is just a simple aeroponics where he is giving a fogger inside the structures like this. They is giving the fogger, and the plants grow simply, like amazing, the plants growing. So he's now he's very confident that the entire turmeric he can grow inside. I mean, like in the aeroponics. So again, it is increasing of 6 to 7 times more plants, and like he says that since it is a completely climate controlled, we can increase the curcumin content by almost 6 to 7 times. Of course, he says it is the research is underway, and once if it is really research is through, this will be a sort of game changer. I feel, like whether it is aromatic oil, whether it is the curcumin content, or so he is mostly interested in the highly commercial crops rather than lettuce, because lettuce he says it is very difficult to sell in the open market, whereas this is the one where you can make a plant stress, we can create a stress, and you will see that the alkaloid content will be increased. And it is this is how probably it is the first time in India somebody has invested more than 20 crores and on a company which is purely based on like vertical farming. Because in Bangalore, in IHR, see, this is the one which we are really very happy. Some of our models where it is very good for a terrace garden. You can see here it's around almost 140 pots. It is completely through wick irrigation. It works. Even if you go on tour for 15 days without any problem, you can just leave. You can just fill up this water in this pipe, and a small pump is there. Through wick irrigation, it works for 15 days. You just, this water is enough, and you have to only sprinkle the seeds because there is a cocoa pit and there is a wick, and it keep growing. Once if the crop is over, either you can cut it or you can just again remove it and sprinkle the seeds again. So it is a wonderful system, especially for the I mean, like for the terrace gardens, which is works very well. And of course we worked on the DFT deflow technique, which is not, I am not very happy with this system is very good. In fact, now NFT with a big system we could able to harvest good goats, and we have given a training to more than around 200 to 300 people. We have given a training on vertical farming and wick irrigation, because most of them are their cityites, and they slowly started on their terraces, and one or two they ventured with a 600 square meter poly house, and they started selling a produce to the neighbors, and like in a small online. So this is the wick irrigation. You can see here just like a pipe and a small wick is there, and you can just put the plants and they grow very well. So this is the system which we have successfully we could able to replicate, and these are some of the systems where I visited. This is in Pune. It is working very well, and again in Pune. So, and this is the Hydrobloom Corporation in Bangalore, which they are working out, like soilless culture and completely with LEDs. They are working out, and he doesn't reveal much of information, but he says that like it is working very well. But only thing, the BC ratio or the cost, it may be like it is bit difficult to tell. So again, it is one of the vertical farming which I visited. So in the last, I just wanted to caution. Yes, say our country is the one which we have to think about. Like any new technology. Yes, of course, the technology is very good. Vertical farming, hydroponics, everything is good. So at the same time, we have to integrate the so-called farmers in this type of technologies. It is not the big companies which requires this. It is the farmers around big cities. We have to give them the technology so that they produce the vegetables, they produce the greens, and they should sell it in city, so that like we could able to sustain, and we could even too much of social imbalances will not be there. Because see, as Swaminathan said, it is the production of mass production is not a key to the India. It is production by masses is important for an Indian population, because mass production, once if we do it, then many will become unemployed. So we have to involve like production by masses, and that is the like we had to like go technology with a full proof, so that we will not displace this type of farmers. So this is my last slide. So we have to be caution with the social fabric and technology, so that we can really do the justice for both technology as well as for the social system also. Thank you very much. This is all from my side.
To take us to the world of vertical farming, which is, I think, will
Shall
be
I
common in near future. You
shall I
stop
stop?
sharing, sir. You stop
Okay, sir.
sharing, sir.
Okay,
Stop
sir.
sharing one. That's all.
Yeah.
Then kindly be there.
Yes, sir.
So excellent one. I request Dr. Shailendra Rajan just highlight though so many points are there, but highlight the important one. Very important points he has raised.
Uh, Thank you very much, sir. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, please. Yeah.
Ah, so Dr. Ashwath is a himself innovator, and we had a nice talk by him. Why the vertical farming is needed? Several reasons are there, well known to all of us. And but his examples given for the examples for the how the polyhouse can be utilized for the vertical farming, and the achievements of IHR, which are many of those are not we don't know about those things, and he has very beautifully calculated how much percentage advantage is there. So the wick irrigation, which is he is stressing about, and they say that 67% saving is there. An example crop is gerbera, and that too having the 10 layers of the crop. These type of examples he has given and shown the slides from his own work. And the major work, they say that the site is important, the direction is important, then design they have already patented, and the different types of layers and the slope, how these plants have to be arranged, and how density is important, and how it is going to ultimately affect the economics, that he has beautifully explained. Then his lecture may be useful for the policy makers also, how they can improve the adoption of this technology. So maybe people, how they will come, the farmers, how they can be benefited, and they can be supported. Financial support can be there. Another good example was the rainwater harvesting, which is being utilized for the vertical structures, where it is a boon for the areas where the this underground water is not of good quality, irrigation water is not of good quality. Then commercial production of vegetables, several examples have been given, but the beautiful examples are with the viable supply chain of Bangalore. Those examples are good, excellent. And the comparison of the vertical farming with the horizontal hydroponics, he has given that 20 times more yield can be uh, achieved in that case. And he also stressed that the specific varieties are required, talked about the economic viability of the export by Bangladesh and Vietnam, how those material can enter through West Bengal. Then he also cautioned about the nutrient deficiency that may occur within the 2 3 days. Only these deficiency symptoms are apparent within 2 3 days. So his another dimension which he has stressed is on the medicinal crops also, like ginger and turmeric. Several farms he has visited, and their examples were given. The microgreens examples are beautiful, and the special microgreen shops, and then moving trucks for the microgreens. Those are something very new for many of us. Then organic and pesticide-free product, how this fallacy can be explained, as he has given the example, and the light quality which is required for the better production, special LED requirements, that has been also exemplified by him. And he summed how the light system, he has given the how the light system of different required for different crops, he has summarized, and how the investors can come up, and those can be convinced with the vertical farming, that is important. And those he's worked for that. A lot of work has been done by that. And again, he has given the benefit, how the shortening of the crop cycle, many crops within a year you can have. Then introduction of the these vertical farming companies in India, and their performance has been reviewed by him. Then she shared with the view of different people involved in vertical farming, how they are concerned about the marketing. An interesting case study he has given with the lettuce and the NFT tomato growing. So repeatedly he said the marketing is the one of the issue where we have to work, and variety suitable for the vertical farming. Indoor purifier, an example, the vertical farming can be the having the application as a indoor purifier and natural ACs. So these were the some of the examples which I have given.
Hello, some problem with Shailendra ji?
Yes, I think so.
Hello. So
Yes, yeah,
anyway,
yeah. Okay.
uh,
Anyway, yes,
he,
summed up already.
he has all. I think he has completed almost.
Yes, sir.
It's okay. Dr. Kalia is there. Dr. Kalia,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
could you kindly supplement what all Shailendra ji has said or he is trying to say?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Anyway, you take over. Take over.
Yes, sir. Although he has almost covered the entire topic, entire lecture which Dr. Aswath has given, which is a very nice lecture that we have had. And Dr. Aswath himself has concluded that a lot of research inputs are still required. This system is in infancy and we have to go a long way, especially from the point of view that he raised the point of economics, that marketing is not there and people are not able to realize profits. So that's how to be there. When you start new thing, it's not just tomorrow that you'll get everything. I think we need to bring awareness amongst masses, and as he has said that we have to integrate the farmers, which is very important actually because they are doing traditionally, and if they are educated, they become future entrepreneurs. Then automatically, when we have many, then the production cost, as most of the things that the research people are now inventing, customized things, the production cost will get reduced. And the important point also he has mentioned that these different systems or production systems require special set of varieties for these conditions. Although broadly package of practice is okay, that we know that this crop can grow well, but again to harvest maximum benefit from the crops, we need to have specialized varieties for these indoor gardening or vertical gardening system, and especially from industrial crops point of view, that turmeric and ginger talk about, this is very important. Actually, they are going to give much more profit to the growers whoever becomes entrepreneurs, future entrepreneurs in these type of technology. They are going to make good profit because these crops can be then utilized by the industry for extraction of these secondary metabolites, and effectively they will bring a lot of benefits. Uh, and because we know that hydroponic is known since ages and lettuce is being used as a crop, but it's not our crop because it's not consumed in that fashion. Although we have now the burger sort of companies, they make use of it, but how many people eat that? So it's good that Dr. Aswath has covered a large number of other crops which are indigenized crops eaten by masses, which is very important. Of course, that will give some solace to those who will venture into this business in future. That research is very important, especially from floriculture aspects. That is passion of Dr. Aswath himself, and diversification of crops, not just concentrating on vegetable itself, but going away to the money-making crops, which are floricultural crops in today's atmosphere, especially in metropolitan cities. So that is very important to work on different growing aspects of these crops, that they are coming up with package of practice, and he has given so many examples and data has been presented, which is I think going to be very futuristic, and which is going to be a base for expansion of this technology in future. So, and as apart from that, in one of the slides where he has mentioned some of the crops like cabbage and other things, but cabbage oblique coniflower. Is it coniflower or something else? I think it may be cauliflower. Cauliflower is not a crop, any crop.
No, it's
It
only
is the
cabbage. Cauliflower is not there.
cauliflower, it must be cauliflower. So
Yeah.
coniflower is maybe wrongly spelled. And also talked about palak and somewhere spinach, because these are two different. Palak is we are having that is beet leaf, and spinach is the English palak which we have spinach always here. So, but it's good that if we are using beet leaf, then we mention beet leaf itself. That would be good. Beet leaf over palak, normal people will understand. But most of the other crops work like coriander, and the amaranth, which is also very important crop, nutritionally grown during summer season, and a lot of crops and other aspects Dr. Shailendra Rajan has already covered, and it's going to be very important lecture for viewers who has been on the hookup on the line to hear this lecture, and I think a lot of motivation would be there amongst masses from that point of view. So I congratulate Dr. Aswath for giving a very important talk, and which is, I think, going to bring a lot of inspiration to many entrepreneurs who keep on venturing here and there and looking for such technology which can save a lot of water. And Dr. Aswath has especially mentioned, which Dr. Rajan has also highlighted, that with the big technology you can further reduce the use of water, and also nutrient efficiency would be high from that point of view. So with that, I thank the Dr. Aswath for a nice lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kalia. Dr. Shailendra, do you have something more in the store to share? No, your voice is not reaching. Sir, your voice is not reaching.
No.
No, 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 something wrong somewhere.
Yes.
It's not reaching. Anyway, we are
He
deprived
has
of
already summed up
your
nicely.
your comment. Anyway, you covered most of the things. So, friends, I thank Dr. Kalia for nicely adding to the comments of Dr. Shailendra and moderation, nice moderation. I think there were some. I think Ashwath, I must congratulate you. There are a lot many
Somebody asked
appreciation
for sensor.
for you,
Welcome.
except that Dr. Surya Chaurasia want
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you should have not covered
Sensors,
the
yeah. Sensors.
sensors in
Yeah.
and vertical farming. Anyway, next talk sometime we will have. We will
Mm.
satisfy the Chaurasia sir and others on sensors, because the future is for sensors only, and the sensors will manage your crops,
Yes.
your availability of nutrient or deficiency of the nutrient, etc., will be automatically corrected by sensor. Sensor will convey the message, and then something will take over and correct it. All sort of thing which he has rightly said, plug and play, plug and play. He has said plug and play, in that everything is covered. It means everything is just what is required. All are programmed. What all can be, that all are programmed, and it will be met. So you can plug and play, that technology is there. So friends, we had very comprehensive and I say very good, excellent lecture or webinar on vertical farming. And vertical farming is coming up, but as he has said, and you also know it, is going to be, I think, popular, and it is a vast subject, I tell you. Though in horticulture we are touching it, it will go beyond horticulture also, which has slightly touched. He has slightly touched that fodder for animals. Besides fodder, also there are so many things which I think will be amenable to the vertical farming. But in horticulture, I think it's going to revolutionize the horticulture production, provided what he has pointed out, the we have to breed the suitable varieties for that, and the we have to make use of the technology available, and involve the scientists who have got expertise and all that. The engineering input, about the structure and what should be the slanting of that, and what quantum of light is to be put up. It has to be done jointly by the scientists, those who are expert in that, whether he is a physiologist, he is an engineer or horticulturist or whatever, even the pathologists and entomologists, all those integrated approach, we have to give a comprehensive package for that. But I'm sure it is going to pick up, though now it sounds to be expensive for want of high initial cost, and running cost of that on electricity, this and that. So these things will be attended upon, and we are known for jugards. Jugards means we have to modify the technology uh, as per the availability of input and the climate, etc., at our disposal. That is, we call it a jugad, and that works. It works. The farmers will be able, or some progressive brain will come up with the good ideas so that it is available to all who are interested in. Though now, in the beginning, it seems, as Dr. Aswatha also said, that only the rich people can have it. And another drawback, that only lettuce, which doesn't fetch a good price in the market. Uh, I think one has to attend all those things, and those who are venturing, whether big or small, they first see the market. He has rightly emphasized that. Without having a market of it, please don't venture. Please don't venture that one, no? And have the setback. Another thing, the research institute, ICR, rightly has taken up, and the other science laboratories should also come forward with this, all their science inputs which are useful for raising the crops. They should be all integrated into it. The sensors, somebody has to develop that sensor, and that agriculture or horticulture scientists are supposed to tell them what plant requirement is. They can't just presume the plant requirement. That is, the horticulture or agriculturists will be able to tell, then you will get a right type of things for that. So I feel that the country is heading towards the vertical farming, not for that we want to have the crop vertical, but I think it is a necessity. Necessity, he has clearly pointed out the drawbacks, the proliferation of our these cities, and the land is reducing, when the water is reducing, for which he has given the answer also. No? Good answer. I loved his talk. For the problems what we face, he had an answer. His talk was a quite practical one, not just like that, read the literature and delivered the talk. No, I think he has got a good experience on that, and the way he has expressed nicely. See, rainwater harvesting. It is quite useful. Those who have handled the vertical farming, aeroponic, hydroponic, and other these ponics, they know it. The major expenditure is on that reverse osmosis or the RO water. And that he is saving. If you have collected nicely in a scientific way the rainwater, you can use it directly. And that EC, etc., EC and pH you can adjust better than the other thing with the rainwater. Water saving in that. And then if you coupled with that photovoltaic, etc., your the power requirement is also met. So we have to put our brain and resources together to suit our the conditions, and I am sure the vertical farming is going to, it will be quite visible. Whether it is your ornamental crops or vegetable crops, and the fruits also will join gradually. The strawberry is making a presence felt. The people are growing, and you have rightly pointed about the medicinal and aromatic plant. What a scope is there now. You can manipulate the active ingredient in a herb, which is important. And not only the manipulation, the uniformity of that active ingredient, which is a major drawback in our system. And since ages it is coming like that, and we are just managing it. But here is the system where you can just have a uniform, more or less uniform ingredient in that. There are two routes. One route is through agronomy, and another one through breeding, etc. Yeah, the suitable varieties and all that. So it has got many plus point. Vertical farming, that's why we say has a future. It has a future, and right from your home, indoor to rooftop and whatnot, everywhere. He has covered almost all conceivable areas where the crop can be grown in a vertical form. And in simple word, he has just said that in poly houses we are wasting, and he has used the word criminal waste rightly of the space. You have spent a lot on greenhouse and polyhouse, and here you are utilizing only the 3 feet or 4 feet of the space, and rest you are living in just like that. So he is right in that. Utilize that. Switch on to vertical one. That you will have a better return. Gradually, I am sure this sector will make a progress. Not only progress, I think this will be in great demand. So with these words, I think we had a very interesting and useful, and the one which has got a future in agriculture or horticulture or the crop production or what over the green production. We had a good talk. With these words, I thank profusely to Dr. Ashwath by delivering such a very informative, comprehensive, practical talk without any inhibition, highlighting the drawbacks. That's what I loved it. Whatever generally we conceal the drawbacks. No, he has not. He has clearly mentioned that this is the drawback, and we have to work on that. Drawback does not mean you should give up. Drawback means we should attend that and make it that we can afford it or bring it to the usable form. So thanks to Dr. Shalendra Rajanji for nicely moderating. Thanks to Dr. Pritam Kalia for introducing the speaker and further moderating it. And thank to Ms. Shivangi for nicely conducting the webinar, managing the studio. I think Shivangi, we are meeting next Tuesday with the topic. Are you ready? Yeah. Very important topic and important speaker. Dr. Shuman Preet Singh Khanujia sir, who was director of that CMAP there in Lucknow, and now running his own foundation, the Flora and Fauna Science, and he talks science. So I think we will take advantage of his knowledge next Tuesday. With these words, once again, I thank one and all. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.